Hey everyone, today I'm exploring a section of Roan Mountain called Dark Hollow. There's a legend in this area and I wanted to come check out this road and this area just to see the spot of this story. And I don't know if there's going to be a hike because I don't know what kind of trails are around here, but I'm going to explore this area and then another if there's time and I can't find any longer trails here, I'll probably go over to the iron ore mine at the Welcome Center and check that place out. But one thing I wanted to do is tell the story of what happened at this location and what I'll show you just across the road from this cemetery. This isn't the location of what happened as far as I know, as far as I can tell. This is a newer modern cemetery. There's a very old cemetery across the road. So I'm going to read this story to you, and this is the legend of Dark Hollow. In the early part of the 20th century, a young lady named Victoria Carter came to Roan Mountain. It wasn't long until the women of the community became jealous of her eyes, figure, and long black hair. She liked to party and to flirt, and this did not sit well with many in the community, especially the wives and girlfriends. It wasn't long before several people of Roan Mountain became determined to get rid of Victoria Carter. A meeting was held and a plan was made for 4 people from the group to go and get Victoria and invite her to a party in the Dark Hollow section of Roan Mountain. There they were going to beat her and whip her until she agreed to leave Roan Mountain on the next train out of town. She was taken by the group of citizens to Dark Hollow, where she was stripped of her clothes, had her hands tied, and her bare back whipped with limbs from the trees. She still refused to leave the community. A man stepped from the crowd holding a large knife. He did not intend to kill her, only to scare her. One of the women pushed him into her, and Victoria was cut on the top of her chest and left shoulder. It was not a mortal wound, but it scared her and she started screaming for help. Not far away, a lone traveler was making his way up a mountain road and heard her screams. He stopped and listened and yelled back, "What's going on up there?" When the gathered crowd heard his voice, they knew that they were caught. They were some of the most prominent men and women in Roan Mountain, and now they were going to jail for assault and kidnapping. Someone in the crowd grabbed a fence railing and hit Victoria in the temple to keep her quiet. Then they waited and listened. The man on the road was listening too, and after a few minutes he turned and went on his way, no doubt thinking that what was happening in those woods was none of his business. With the danger gone, the citizens turned to look at Victoria. A trickle of blood ran down her temple as someone checked her pulse. She was dead. Now the little group was in a panic. They had just killed someone. They were all going to jail for murder. Then a voice of reason came from the crowd. They didn't have to get caught if they worked together. They decided to never tell anyone what had happened, and then they designated 4 of the men to hide the body and not tell the rest where it was hidden. Once the sheriff heard about it, he came to Roan Mountain to search for Victoria's body. They searched for her for the better part of a week, but came up short. Finally, they gave up the search and said she probably had just left to parts unknown, and this was just a story someone had invented. No one will ever know what happened to Victoria's lifeless body. Some say she was buried here or there. But though we don't know what happened to her body, many native Roan Mountain residents can tell you where to find her. Drive to Dark Hollow in the dead of night and look out your window, and you may see a woman who is arrayed in white walking through the woods. As you watch, she turns to you and then just disappears. If she does this, don't be concerned. Others have seen this before you. So that is the main story. There are other alternative stories. Many people believe that the details have been changed to sort of help cover up what actually happened. The fact that this story said she had dark hair, there's actually information out there that she had blonde hair. There's also there's variations on her name. The other one wasn't that she was Victoria, but Delinda or something like that. And also I did find out from a couple of posts, there's very little information on this, but I found out from a couple people who had posted in a Usenet group years ago that the location is across the road. So this isn't the cemetery. So I'm actually kind of curious to see what's up there. It doesn't look like there's no trespassing, so I'm going to go take a look and take you along with me. So let's get going. So I knew this had to be here. You can see the cemetery opening right down there. But this old road is not obvious. It's on the older maps, but all I saw was trees, forest, behind the cemetery. Searched far enough along the back left corner, and I discovered this really old road. I'm glad, because I was going to give up trying to walk through the woods over there. I'm going to explore this old road for a little while until I run out of road. It's obviously not maintained, so I'll probably come to a grown-in section at some point. But there's no other opening up here as far as I can tell. No signs of anything. No mounds, no disturbed ground. This is kind of cool though. I saw a lot of deer sign, little, deer droppings. This may end right here actually, not sure. This may be my block off this tree here, and then it's just completely grown in. Past there, there's no path. Past this section, there's no path. I'll tell you what, if there's something hidden way in there, it's well hidden. What was strange, I have to admit, is part of the old story. A group of women in the community actually invited Victoria up to this mountain, this area, for a party in the woods. And as that story goes, they say she was tarred, feathered, and burnt alive. And one thing that I was surprised to see was that very old tree stump that looked burned. I mean, it was charred. There were pieces of charred wood on there. And one of the weirdest things I found that I showed on the video is there is what looks like a burnt piece of leather with buttonholes in it. I want to say it looks almost like one of those old leather corsets that women used to wear a long time ago. That was very weird to find, very creepy. And it kind of looks like there was I want to say tombstone, that little tiny stone that it looks like someone put there. It honestly looks like someone was kind of trying to put a tombstone there without actually making it look like a tombstone. Which makes me think that the story about her being burned alive, potentially that could be evidence of this old crime from a long time ago. However, this was the early 1900s. For an old burnt up, piece of leather to stay preserved in the rain and the elements, probably not very likely, but it does look old. And if it was a thick piece to begin with, then the weathering could have just thinned it out, but there's still a piece left. I don't know. You can take a look at that video, kind of let me know what you think. It was a very strange find, and the fact that it looks like the top of that stump, almost like something had been put there, potentially bound there, and burned on top of it, it definitely looks like that. Which honestly, I wasn't expecting to find something that obvious to show evidence of something that could have happened there. So that makes me think, if it's that obvious, maybe not likely. But then again, stranger things have happened. So I'm gonna get back down to the cemetery and then head over to the iron ore mine. The site of the Victoria Carter murder was very interesting. I didn't expect to really see anything of interest there. But there are a lot of stories about who she was, if she was just a kind of a drifter from some people say they thought she might have been from a wealthy family because she dressed very well. She was obviously very beautiful. Some say she was a lady of the night, and that's why people got upset with her. Some say the community thought she was a witch, and others say she just, you know, was a little more promiscuous than most women then were allowed to be, so the community didn't like her. But whatever the reason, there are enough people who have interviewed locals, gotten enough stories that match from different people that it seems to be very true. It's just unfortunate that Victoria had never gotten justice for her murder, regardless of why they murdered her. If anyone lives in the Roan Mountain community and has some more solid information about where her body may be, or where people have put her body, please reach out to me. I'd be interested in exploring any location that has a legitimate, you know, I don't want to say evidence, but, you know, enough valid reason to explore the area, not just on a whim or a rumor. I'd love it if you reach out to me. Just contact me through my Facebook community. The Facebook community is also called Hikes for David, so just message me there and let me know where you believe she is, and I will return to the area and check it out. Please subscribe. Just take a few seconds, click the button down below. I'm trying to bring the highest quality hiking videos to YouTube, and that means I'm going to show you maps, trail highlights, all the best views on the trail, any good picnic spots, any wildlife we see, all in 4K high quality video. And we'll see you on the next hike.